Have you ever looked around and realized that no one is standing beside you? The people who said they'd always be there, gone. The support you expected, silent. And suddenly it's just you facing life's storms alone. In those moments, most people think they're breaking. But what if I told you that the loneliness, the quiet battles, the nights when you cried yourself to sleep is actually the proof that you are stronger than you think? You see, strength isn't always loud. It doesn't always roar in confidence or shine under the spotlight. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it's the invisible fight, the choice to rise again after life knocks you down. And today I want to show you something powerful. 6 signs, quiet, real, undeniable signs that prove you have more strength inside you than you've ever realized. So if you've ever felt alone, misunderstood, or invisible, stay with me till the end. Because by the time we're done, you'll see that you were never weak. You were simply being shaped into something unbreakable. Imagine this, you've got a dream, a fire inside you that no one else can see. You start out excited, full of belief, thinking everyone will understand your vision, that they'll walk with you, push you, support you. But slowly, the cheers fade. People once said, I've got your back. Stop showing up. Their silence becomes louder than their words ever were. And one morning, you wake up and realize it's just you. No backup, no audience, no one clapping, just you standing in the middle of your own battlefield. That's the moment when life asks the question, will you still move forward when no one believes in you? See, this is where true strength is born. Not in comfort, not when everyone agrees with you. Strength is forged in the silence, when the only voice you hear is your own, whispering, keep going. And maybe even that voice trembles sometimes. Maybe it's scared, maybe it doubts, but it still says, get up. Try again, that's power. That's real strength, because it's easy to be motivated when everyone's cheering you on. Anyone can do that. But when the crowd disappears, when people question your worth, when your vision becomes the punchline of someone else's joke, that's when you find out who you really are. You discover that the person you've been waiting for, the savior, the supporter, the motivator was you all along. Most people don't realize that the moments they feel most alone are the exact moments they're being built. You see, life strips away the noise, the opinions, the praise, the distractions, until it's just you and the truth. And that truth can hurt. It can make you doubt everything. But if you can face it, if you can stand there and say, even without anyone's approval, I will still show up for myself, then nothing can stop you anymore. There was a time when I had to learn this lesson the hard way. I remember nights when I thought I'd failed, times when I wanted to quit because it felt like no one understood what I was fighting for. But I realized something powerful. People don't always see your vision because it wasn't given to them. It was given to you. It's your responsibility to protect it, to nurture it, to fight for it, even when no one else sees what you see. Think about it. Every person who's ever achieved something extraordinary, every artist, every leader, every innovator, they all walked through that same silence. They all had a moment where the world doubted them, but they kept going, not because they were fearless, not because they were perfect, but because they refused to let someone else's disbelief become their truth. When no one believes in you, that's not your failure, that's their limitation. Don't let it become yours. When someone says you can't do it, what they're really saying is, I can't imagine doing that myself. But that's their ceiling, not yours. And if you spend your life trying to fit inside someone else's limited imagination, you'll never experience your own potential. You've got to learn to be your own source of energy. You've got to build an inner fire that doesn't depend on outside fuel. Because the truth is, people will come and go. Opinions will shift, applause fades, but when your drive comes from within, no one can take that away from you. You might be thinking, but it's hard. I feel tired. I feel unseen. I get that. Everyone who's ever done something meaningful has felt that way. But here's the secret. Being unseen isn't the same as being unworthy. Just because they don't notice your effort now doesn't mean it's not changing something deep inside you. Every time you keep going when no one's watching, you're building muscle, mental, emotional, spiritual muscle. The kind of strength that doesn't need validation to keep moving. So when you find yourself standing alone, don't see it as a punishment, see it as training. This is where you sharpen your focus. This is where you learn to rely on yourself. Because once you've learned to move without support, imagine how unstoppable you'll be with it. Once you've learned to stand tall in silence, imagine the power you'll carry when the world finally listens. Every moment you choose to rise in solitude is rewriting your story. It's proving to yourself that your worth was never tied to anyone else's approval. It's showing you that you don't need a crowd to validate your courage. You just need your conviction. So if today you're walking a path that feels lonely, if your dreams make people roll their eyes, if your heart feels heavy because you thought more people would believe in you by now, take a breath. Remind yourself this isn't the end of your story. This is the part where you become the person capable of living the story you were meant to write. And when the world finally catches up, when they finally see what you've been building all along, they'll call it strength. They'll call it resilience. They'll call it greatness. But you'll know the truth. It started the day you decided to keep going, even when no one believed in you, because that's the moment you discovered your real power, pain. It's a word that carries so much weight, doesn't it? It's the feeling we try to avoid, the experience we wish we could erase, the part of life we think shouldn't exist. But here's the truth. Pain is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. It's the doorway to your strength, your purpose, and your power. The problem is most people never open that door. They get hurt, and instead of learning from it, they run, they numb it, hide it, bury it under distractions, pretending it's gone. But what you bury doesn't disappear, it just waits. And the moment you stop running, it meets you again asking, are you ready to grow now? You see, there are two kinds of people in life. Those who let pain define them and those who let it refine them. The difference isn't in what happens to them, it's in how they respond. Every one of us has faced loss, disappointment, betrayal, heartbreak, failure, moments that could have broken us completely. And yet here you are, you've survived every single one of those moments. You may not have come out the same, but maybe that's the point. Maybe the version of you before the pain couldn't carry the strength, the wisdom, the depth that you have now. When you're in the middle of it, pain feels endless. It feels like you'll never breathe the same again. But have you ever looked back and realized that the things that once shattered you became the very reasons you grew, the heartbreak that made you discover self-love, the failure that pushed you to level up, the loss that taught you how precious time really is? That's not just survival, that's transformation. That's turning pain into purpose. There was a moment in my life when everything I thought I needed fell apart. People left. Plans failed. I felt like I was standing in the ashes of my own expectations. But in that emptiness, I heard something powerful: silence. And in that silence, I started to listen to myself for the first time. The pain stripped away the noise and forced me to ask deeper questions. Who am I without everything I thought defined me? What truly matters? Pain can be cruel, but it's also honest. It doesn't let you hide behind illusions. It forces you to see what's real. When life hurts, you have two choices. You can let it harden you, or you can let it shape you. If you let it harden you, you start closing your heart. You stop trusting. You stop trying. You build walls so high that not even joy can climb in. But when you let it shape you, you take that same pain and you build something beautiful out of it. You use it to connect, to serve, to understand others who are hurting. Because the truth is, the people who've been through the most pain often become the ones who bring the most healing to others. Pain is a sculptor. It carves away everything that's not truly you. Every time you've been broken, something false was being stripped away, the need to be perfect, the fear of rejection, the illusion of control. You don't lose yourself in pain. You find the version of you that's been hiding underneath the fear. You start to realize that strength doesn't mean you never hurt. It means you never stop moving, even when you do. When you look at the greatest people who've walked this earth, every single one of them has a story of pain. Not one of them got where they are because life was easy. They got there because pain pushed them to grow beyond what they thought was possible. They didn't just endure suffering, they used it. They found purpose in it. That's what you're being called to do. Maybe your pain isn't here to punish you. Maybe it's here to prepare you. Maybe it's life's way of saying you are meant for more, but I need to strip away what's holding you back first. So when you feel like everything's falling apart, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift alone can change everything. Think about how many people are stuck because they keep reliving their pain instead of releasing it. They tell the same story of what hurt them over and over, never realizing that the story is meant to evolve. You're not meant to stay in the wound. You're meant to walk through it and come out the other side with wisdom. That's how pain turns into purpose. You take what once broke you and you use it to break through. And listen, you don't need to have it all figured out right now. Healing isn't about pretending you're fine. It's about giving meaning to your scars. It's about saying, yes, I was hurt, but I learned, I grew, I became stronger. Your scars don't make you damaged, they make you real. They remind you that you faced life head on and refused to surrender. There's beauty in that kind of resilience, the kind that doesn't come from avoiding pain, but from embracing it, learning from it, transforming through it. You stop being the victim of your story and start becoming the author. You start living on purpose, not by accident. So if you're walking through something heavy right now, I want you to remember this. Your pain is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your awakening. What hurts now will one day become the reason you rise higher than ever before. Because every time you've turned pain into purpose, you've proven you are stronger than you think. There comes a point in life when you realize that no matter what you do, no matter how much you give, no matter how hard you try to please people, it's never going to be enough for everyone. There will always be someone who doesn't understand you, who misjudges you, who wants you to shrink just enough so that your strength doesn't make them uncomfortable. And if you spend your life trying to win over every voice around you, you'll lose the one voice that matters most, your own. See, real strength isn't about having everyone's approval. It's about learning to choose peace over popularity, truth over attention, and authenticity over applause. Because there's a moment, and maybe you've already felt it, when external validation stops filling you. You get the likes, the compliments, the praise, and yet something still feels empty. That's because approval is temporary, but inner peace is permanent. You can't build a life on other people's opinions. The foundation isn't strong enough. Think about it. How many times have you changed something about yourself to make someone else happy? How many times have you held back your truth because you didn't want to be judged or misunderstood? You wear masks, you play roles, you say yes when your heart is screaming no. And for a while it works. You keep the peace. You avoid conflict. But slowly, You start to disappear in your own life. You wake up one day and realize you've been living for everyone but yourself. The day you choose peace over approval is the day you begin to reclaim your life. Because when you stop trying to fit into their expectations, you finally have the energy to grow into your own. You stop needing permission to be who you are. You stop explaining your worth. You stop chasing validation like it's oxygen. You start breathing differently, deeper, freer, lighter. I've seen people spend years chasing applause, and when they finally get it, they feel nothing. Why? Because deep down, they weren't being applauded for who they really are. They were being applauded for the version they created to be accepted. And that's exhausting. You can't be truly happy when your peace depends on how someone else sees you. Peace doesn't mean that everything around you is calm. It means you are calm in the middle of the chaos. It's when you walk away from arguments that go nowhere because your energy is too precious to waste. It's when you stop explaining your decisions to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. It's when you no longer need to prove your value because you've finally understood it yourself. That's power, quiet power, the kind that doesn't need to shout. Now, that doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop letting their opinions dictate your direction. You can love others deeply and still choose yourself. You can be kind without being a doormat. You can listen without absorbing their judgment. Because sometimes peace means disappointing others so that you don't keep disappointing yourself. It takes courage to do that. It takes strength to say, I'm not going to fight for your approval anymore. I'm going to fight for my peace. Most people won't understand it first. They'll call you selfish. They'll say you've changed. But that's okay. Growth looks like rebellion to those who are still stuck in comfort. You can't please everyone, but you can live in a way that pleases your soul. And when you start doing that, everything shifts. You stop competing, comparing, and chasing. You start creating, appreciating, and being. Your world gets quieter, but more meaningful. The noise fades and you begin to hear yourself again. There's so much freedom in not needing to be liked. When you no longer depend on validation, you can speak truth without fear. You can make decisions without doubt. You can walk away from anything that threatens your peace. Because you finally understand that protecting your energy is not weakness, it's wisdom. And here's the thing, people who truly care about you will respect your peace. They'll want to see you grounded, not drained. The ones who don't, they were never meant to stay. Let them go. You're not losing anyone, you're finding yourself. Sometimes silence is your loudest statement. Sometimes walking away is your strongest move. And sometimes choosing peace means standing alone, but standing free. Because there's a difference between being alone and being at peace. One feels empty, the other feels whole. You know, you've grown when you stop explaining yourself to people who never tried to understand you in the first place. You know, you've matured when peace matters more than proving your point. You know, you're strong when you can smile even when they doubt you, forgive even when they hurt you, and stay calm even when they try to provoke you. The world will always have opinions, loud, endless, shifting opinions. But the most powerful sound you'll ever hear is your own quiet conviction saying, I'm okay. I know who I am. I don't need their approval to live my truth. And when you reach that place, when peace becomes your priority, you stop surviving for others, start truly living for yourself, because that's the moment you realize that your calm, your clarity, your inner stillness is the greatest strength you'll ever have. There are moments in life when the future feels completely uncertain, when everything you thought was solid begins to crumble, and suddenly you're standing in a fog, so think you can't see even one step ahead. You start questioning everything, your plans, your timing, your choices, maybe even yourself. And in that uncertainty, fear creeps in, because we humans crave control. We want to know how it's all going to turn out before we take the first step. But life doesn't work like that. Life demands faith, not blind hope, but a deep, grounded trust that even when you can't see the whole path, you're still moving in the right direction. Faith isn't just a belief in something bigger than yourself. It's the unshakable knowing that you are guided, that every delay, every detour, every closed door is part of a plan you can't fully see yet. When you have that kind of faith, you stop needing to have all the answers. You stop panicking when the plan falls apart. You stop trying to control what was never yours to control. You begin to breathe again. You begin to listen. You begin to see that sometimes not knowing what's next is exactly what you need to grow into who you're meant to be. You see, uncertainty has a purpose. It's not there to break you. It's there to build you, because it's in the unknown that your strength is tested, your patience is developed, and your trust is refined. When everything's clear and comfortable, faith doesn't grow. It's when life throws you into the dark that you find out what you're made of. It's when you have no idea how things will work out, yet you still choose to move forward, that real courage is born. Think about a time in your life when you thought everything was falling apart. Maybe you lost a job, a relationship ended, a dream failed, and yet somehow, months or years later, you look back and realized it had to happen that way. The loss created space for something better. The ending led you to a new beginning. The detour became the path. You couldn't see it then, but it was all unfolding exactly as it needed to. That's what faith is, not needing to see the whole picture to know it's being painted perfectly. Most people think faith means having no doubt, but that's not true. Faith isn't the absence of doubt. It's choosing to move even while the doubt whispers. It's waking up every day and saying, I don't know how this will work out, but I'm going to trust that it will. That kind of faith doesn't make life easier, but it makes you unbreakable. It gives you something stronger than fear, a quiet conviction that no matter what happens, you'll find a way through. When you trust the process, you stop rushing the timing. You stop forcing what isn't ready. You understand that waiting doesn't mean wasting time. It means preparing. Maybe right now, something in your life feels delayed. Maybe you're praying for clarity, for a sign, for a breakthrough that hasn't come yet. Don't mistake silence for absence. Sometimes the answers are already on their way. It's just not time for you to receive them. Life doesn't operate on your schedule. It operates on alignment. And when you're aligned, everything starts to flow, not forced, not frantic, but free. I've seen people give up just before the miracle. They stop believing because they can't see progress, not realizing that growth is often invisible at first. Just because you can't see the roots doesn't mean the seed isn't growing. Just because the door hasn't opened doesn't mean it's locked. Maybe you're not meant to walk through that one. Maybe you're meant to build your own. But that's what faith does. It keeps you walking when there's no visible sign of the destination. The truth is, faith and fear both require you to believe in something that hasn't happened yet. The only difference is the story you choose to tell yourself. Fear says, what if I fall? Faith says, what if I fly? Fear asks, what if it all goes wrong? Faith whispers, what if it's all working out exactly as it should? Every time you choose faith over fear, you strengthen that inner muscle that says, I trust myself. I trust life. I trust that there's meaning even in this moment. And it's not about pretending everything's fine when it's not. It's about holding on when everything feels uncertain, knowing that clarity will come when it's meant to. Because life often tests you right before it blesses you. The moments that feel like the end are often the beginning in disguise. When you can look at chaos and still say, I don't understand this, but I trust it, you've reached a level of strength most people never find. So if right now you're walking through uncertainty, if things aren't going the way you plan, if you feel lost or stuck, remember this, faith doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It means you've decided to keep going even when you don't. It means you trust that the same force that got you this far isn't about to abandon you now. Because the truth is, every step you've taken has brought you to this moment for a reason. And even if the road ahead isn't clear, you're not walking it alone. That's the quiet power of faith. It doesn't remove the storm, but it gives you the strength to stand in it. Fear. It's the quiet shadow that follows every dream, every goal, every desire that stretches beyond what's familiar. It whispers, what if you fail? What if they laugh? What if you're not enough? And most people listen. They back away. They shrink. They let fear dictate the boundaries of their life. But the truth is, fear isn't the enemy. Fear is part of the process. It's not there to stop you. It's there to show you exactly where your next level begins. Every person who has ever done something extraordinary felt fear. The difference between those who move forward and those who stay stuck isn't courage. It's their relationship with fear. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to move through it. If you wait to feel fearless before you act, you'll wait forever. Growth doesn't happen in the absence of fear. It happens in the presence of it. Think about a time when you were terrified to do something. Maybe it was speaking up, starting over, ending something that wasn't right, or chasing something that felt impossible. Your hands were shaking, your heart was pounding, your mind was screaming 1,000 reasons to walk away, but somewhere inside a quiet voice said, do it anyway. And when you did, you realized the fear didn't destroy you, it freed you. Fear feeds on avoidance. The more you run from it, the bigger it grows. But when you turn around and face it, you realize it's not this massive monster. It's just energy, emotion, uncertainty. And once you move toward it, the illusion starts to dissolve. Because every time you act in the face of fear, you teach your brain something powerful. I can handle this. We live in a world that tells us to seek safety, to stay comfortable, to avoid risk. But comfort never creates greatness. Every time you step outside what's familiar, your body reacts, your heart races, your thoughts speed up, and you call it fear. But it's not just fear, it's excitement. It's your body preparing for growth. The same physiological response that happens when you're afraid is the same one that happens when you're thrilled. The only difference is the story you tell yourself about what it means. When you start to reframe fear as a signal that you're expanding, everything changes. Suddenly the fear becomes your guide. It's like a compass pointing to the very thing that has the power to transform you. That's why the things that scare you most are often the things you're meant to do. Because your purpose always hides on the other side of your greatest fear. The truth is, fear will never fully disappear, even at the top, even when you've achieved success. It shows up in new forms, fear of losing it, fear of not being good enough still, fear of the next step. The goal isn't to eliminate fear. It's to stop letting it control you. You've got to feel it, acknowledge it, and move anyway. Because motion dissolves fear. Action breaks its grip. I remember a time when I stood in front of an opportunity that scared me to my core. Everything inside me said, you're not ready, but I realized something, fear and readiness will never arrive at the same time. If you wait to feel ready, you'll miss the moment. Growth demands that you leap first and trust you'll learn how to fly on the way down. The reason so many people stay stuck isn't because they don't have potential. It's because they've made fear more sacred than their dreams. They've built comfort zones around their insecurities and called it safety. But nothing grows there. You can't discover who you are by standing still. You find yourself in the movement, in the risk, in the trembling step into the unknown. And here's what's powerful. Every time you act in spite of fear, that fear loses strength. The first time you take the leap, your voice shakes, your knees buckle. The second time, it's still there, but softer. The third time, it becomes familiar. Eventually, what once terrified you becomes your new normal. You build confidence not by waiting for fear to disappear, but by proving to yourself again and again that you can rise with it. Fear will always ask, what if you fall? But faith will whisper back, what if you fly? And sometimes the only way to find out is to jump. You will fall sometimes, you will fail sometimes, but those moments don't define you. They shape you. Each time you rise after fear knocks you down, you become stronger, sharper, more grounded. You realize that fear didn't break you, it built you. And the most beautiful thing happens when you stop letting fear control your choices, your world expands. You start saying yes to things you once avoided. You start trusting yourself more deeply. You start living more fully. Because when fear stops being the driver, freedom takes the wheel. So the next time fear shows up, and it will, don't see it as a sign, to see it as a sign that you're growing. Smile at it. Thank it. Let it remind you that you're alive and that you're standing on the edge of something meaningful. Then take a breath and step forward anyway. Because strength isn't found in avoiding fear. It's found in walking through it again and again until it no longer owns you. There's a moment in every person's life when they have to make a choice, not between right and wrong, but between what's easy and what's true. Between following the crowd and following their conscience. Between being accepted and being authentic. And that's one of the hardest choices you'll ever face, because standing for what you believe in often means standing alone. It's not glamorous. It's not the dramatic movie moment where everyone claps for your courage. No, in real life, it's quiet. It's uncomfortable. It's lonely. Sometimes it hurts like hell, because when you stand for your values, you risk losing people. You risk being misunderstood, rejected, even ridiculed. But here's the truth. Integrity always costs less than regret. The pain of standing alone is nothing compared to the pain of betraying yourself. There's a deep kind of strength that comes from refusing to compromise who you are, even when it would be easier to go along with everyone else. Most people trade authenticity for approval without even realizing it. They change their opinions to fit in. They laugh at things that go against their morals just to be accepted. They stay silent when they should speak up because they don't want to be seen as different. But every time you silence your truth, you chip away at your own power. You lose a little piece of yourself. True strength is being able to look at yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, I stayed true, even if no one saw it. Even if no one thanked you for it, even if it cost you something. Because your values are like the roots of a tree, invisible to the world, but they're what holds you steady when the storms come. And the storms will come. There will be moments when life tests your integrity, when doing the right thing will mean walking away from comfort, from approval, maybe even from relationships you thought were unbreakable. And in those moments, the temptation will be to bend just a little, to tell yourself it's not a big deal. No one will notice. But you'll notice, your soul will notice. And that's the voice you can never afford to ignore. I've seen people chase success and lose themselves in the process. They climb higher and higher, but when they reach the top, they realize they've built a life that doesn't even feel like their own. Because if you have to trade your values to get somewhere, you're never really going to be able to enjoy it once you arrive. Success without integrity is just an illusion of fulfillment. It looks good on the outside, but feels empty inside. But when you stand in your truth, when you speak your mind, even if your voice shakes, when you walk away from what doesn't align with your soul, when you choose honesty over popularity, something powerful happens. You start to attract people and opportunities that match your real energy. You stop chasing belonging and start creating it. You stop seeking validation and start embodying conviction. And yes, standing alone can be painful at first. You might lose friends. You might face criticism. People might call you difficult, stubborn, or rebellious. But eventually those same people will respect you, maybe not right away, but in time. Because deep down, everyone recognizes authenticity when they see it. It's rare and it's magnetic. When you refuse to compromise who you are, you give others permission to do the same. You can't lead by following the crowd. You can't inspire others by doing what everyone else is doing. You lead by example, by standing firm in your values even when the world around you wavers. And leadership isn't about titles or followers. It's about influence. It's about being the person who has the courage to hold the line when everyone else lets go. The greatest leaders, the most respected people in history, were the ones who stood alone long before anyone stood with them. They were ridiculed, rejected, mocked, and doubted until the world caught up. And that's the lesson. You don't need the world to agree with you to know you're doing the right thing. Sometimes your strength will only be visible in hindsight, but that doesn't make it any less real. When you stand alone, you discover who truly stands with you. The people who remain aren't there because they need something from you. They're there because they respect you. And that's the kind of connection that lasts. But even if no one stands beside you, even if the room is empty, you're never really alone. Because when you stand in alignment with your values, you stand with truth. And truth is a companion that never leaves. So when the pressure builds, when you feel that pull to bend just to make life easier, stop and remember this. You weren't born to fit in. You were born to make a difference. And difference makers rarely blend into the crowd. They walk their path with conviction, even when no one else understands it. You'll know you're on the right path, not because it's easy, but because it's honest. And even if you have to walk that path alone, You'll do it with peace in your heart because you'll know you didn't betray yourself to please the world. Because the moment you stand for your values, even when you stand alone, that's the moment you step into your true strength.